Hello, guys, and welcome to podcast number 2 of Schoolcast. I'm being joined once again by Matthew and Lucas.
Hello.
Hello.
So hopefully the audio will be a little bit better this time.
I was a bit loud in the last one.
Yeah, I turned them down a little bit. You can
so
talk louder.
Talk like a normal human being.
Yeah,
Oh,
you'll still probably be a little bit louder than me, but that's okay.
Okay.
So
I just won't yell.
So the topic for this week, we're going to be talking about school.
I feel we are experts on school because we've been going to school for quite some time.
Yeah, we've been going to school for like
4 years of high school.
6 plus 3 plus 4.
5 years
I can't
of
do that math.
School. 3 years of middle school.
Like 12.
Well, I went to preschool also, so
So I've been going to school for 14 years of my 18-year life.
Well, if you think about it, grades 1 through I've been 14. Yeah.
Let's just call it 14.
14 years. So we've been going for a long time.
As recently graduated high schoolers, we're not qualified to talk about much, but I feel like this is the one thing that we're allowed to have a pretty solid opinion on by now, you know?
Yeah.
We know where we stand on this one.
And yeah, I mean we do. We're all going to college, so we obviously don't think school's that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise we wouldn't voluntarily continue to exist in it.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so we'll start off with the first question. So, do you think school is of as much value as society puts on it? And does school provide you with enough skills for later on in life?
Lucas?
All right. I'll go first. So I think that school is a pretty big value in my opinion. I think that without school, I would be pretty lost in what I want to do in life, because through school and through the classes, I enjoyed them, and I wasn't one of those kids who had a bad view of school. So I kind of got into the system, did my thing, got good grades and all that. So I think school is definitely worth it if you want to pursue something in life that requires a bit of education. And I would say that school provides you with some of the skills you need for life. Definitely not all of them, but through interactions in school and stuff, not just in the classroom, but with your peers and interacting with them, you learn new life skills throughout school. So I would say that, yeah. So, I mean, because a lot of good things do happen in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom, but still school grounds, like public schools.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really... Yeah, you don't really think about when someone asks you if school teaches you stuff, you don't ever think about not just inside the classroom, but other people in school too, because I mean without school you wouldn't have the platform to meet all those people and stuff, and to learn from them. And I've definitely learned some things from people that are going to school that is not a teacher or anything.
I think you guys hit the nail right on the head. The most common view of school is that school is only as good as the content of the courses you take, and I think that's the most unfortunate view anyone can take of education, let alone any education, including that you receive in public schooling and whatnot. As with most things, I think school is as valuable as you make it. As I said before, the main criticism is the things inside the courses that you learn aren't inherently useful to being alive, which is fair. It's the oldest criticism in the book, but all three of us took calculus for a year, and we're never going to fucking derive anything ever again unless we go into a field in which that's necessary, which you guys might, but I sincerely doubt that I'm going to, since I'm going into a humanity.
I mean, if Lucas be building bridges and he wants,
you're gonna drive something at some point.
You want to know, you want to know what's underneath the bridge. That's easy. That's easy right there.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But the point is, the information itself is not what's useful from school. I think what you can get from school is the ability to work and the ability to pace your time and the ability to work with other people. I think that's what you can get from school, because the shit that I learned in my classes, even though I really took them seriously, as we said in episode 1, I was a fucking sweat the entire time. So obviously I took them seriously, but the course itself wasn't what was important. What was important is I learned how to manage my time. I learned how to take rests when I was too tired to keep working. I learned how to properly approach assignments to get them done fast and effectively. And that's going to be helpful when I go to my job, because even if I'm not writing an essay on the Great Gatsby or doing 10 problems in my calculus book, it's still going to be helpful when my boss gives me a week to do an assignment and I have to pace myself out. Because I know how to attack certain assignments and certain jobs because school taught me how. Or rather, I taught myself how, and school gave me the ability to teach myself how.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with like you taught yourself how, because I definitely wasn't the same in school. Like I'm like really bad with time management in school and everything. But I mean, I know it's different than like a normal job, but because it's like a, just a high school minimum wage job, but I'd still consider it a job. But with my job, it helped me learn time management in a specific field of my job. Just by working more, getting more experience, I was able to, like, oh, I need to, because I make sandwiches in my job. So, I'd be like, oh, I need to, do this, and I have this amount of time.
Mr. Pickles, Davis, California.
Yeah, do that. Definitely look that up. No, but I definitely think that school is a good platform to learn time management and that stuff on. But also, it doesn't necessarily need to just be school. It can also be a job when you're younger and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucas, I don't know about you, because I mean, you have a job also.
Yeah, that's true. But before I talk about that, I wanted to say, like, one of our favorite teachers at our high school, his name starts with a D. I'm sure you guys know who it is. But he would say often that, like, you're not ever going to necessarily, like, derive something, but learning how to, like, take a test that's super hard and, like, prepare for it and stuff and show that you can do complicated problems, like, shows that, you have the potential to do bigger things. And you can, like, if you can learn equations and stuff, you can learn other things. That's what he would say. So
that I agree with that too.
The one thing that he always talked about that I thought was super interesting is taking calculus was so important because you learned how to be stuck.
Yeah, true.
You learned how to feel like you weren't the smartest kid in the class and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah. So I guess it's my time to answer the first question.
Yes.
So I think that school definitely has a lot of value in the sense that it just teaches people. It teaches some people how to respect other people, and it kind of puts you in an environment where you need to, learn how to be social in your own kind of way and make interactions with people, whether it's teachers who would almost kind of imitate your boss further on in like a job because they're like above you, versus like classmates, which can be like coworkers or something. You can always complain to your classmates like, God damn, this homework assignment like sucks and shit like that, and you can do the same with coworkers. I mean, that's kind of a bad example for like learning how to communicate with them, but like, I mean, complaining about something is a good way to bond with people.
It's cathartic, and it gives you something in common because no one likes to work. Even if you like to work, you don't like to work.
Yeah, fuck homework.
Yeah.
But I also do. Speaking of homework, actually, I do think homework is. It's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to seem, because.
Really not.
I mean, as long as it doesn't, it's not too excessive. I think that a little bit of practice, at home isn't too bad, because it kind of keeps your brain, kind of
alive.
thinking and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I didn't have that much homework during quarantine. I swear to God, my shit was rotting.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I've just forgot how to speak to people just completely all around too without school.
Oh my
God. Yeah, coming back to work, people were like, "Oh, how's it going?" And I was just like, "I'm alive." And they're like, "That's good."
Yeah, I definitely have experience coming back after not talking to anybody. It's kind of hard.
It is definitely rough, yeah. Does it provide you with enough skill for later on in life? I think that me and Lucas took a class called Life Essentials, and I think that was really good because it taught us how to pay taxes, which was probably one of the most important things, and like change a tire for your car, like spare tire, and like meal planning for college or even just living by yourself. And I think that and it was almost just like kind of planning out like the next couple years in your life. Like we looked at like apartment prices and stuff like that and just kind of got an idea for what all that is about. And I think that was probably actually one of the most useful classes I've ever taken in terms of like, you know, you actually get time to like, cause when you're home, it's hard to like find a motivation to want to do that type of stuff because, you know, it's not that exciting, like looking at prices for stuff and being like, oh wow, can't wait to pay for that. But when you're in the classroom environment, it almost was like, I thought that was like one of my most fun classes ever because, you know, you're doing it with your friends. So it was like, wow, we're all like doing this together. Like we're advancing on together. And I thought that was good because it definitely made it more, I wanted to actually like pay attention and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think that it helped me kind of get a bigger picture on up and coming years. So I would say that I'm sure every school doesn't have that class, and I think that class should be mandatory or some sort of class like that. But I think that other than that class, school, it does provide you with some skills, like Lucas said. I think that having good speaking ability is good. Being able to communicate is a very good skill, and I think school does an okay job at that. Other than that, I mean, I definitely feel more comfortable around people that are more educated. So I think that is good. If you're educated, then talk to me.
Yeah.
If you're dumb, then don't.
Please don't talk to me if you are not educated.
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to take that class, and I'm still disappointed about that to this day, because, as you guys said, even if we take all the other things from those classes we take outside of the actual curriculum, what's inside the curriculum is still something you're going to spend a lot of time learning. If you're going to learn something, it might as well be useful, right? And that's probably the only class in our entire school outside of like fucking tech essentials that you actually learn useful things from. And like even in tech essentials, the only way you learn something in tech essentials is if you didn't already know them, and that's not that many people of our age because we grew up on computers. So I agree that I think Life Essentials probably should have been a necessary class to graduate, if only because I wasn't able to take it, and I think because it couldn't fit into my schedule with all my AP classes, and the fact that football thought it was an okay thing to do to take up 5 of my classes across my high school career.
Yeah.
So I just wish that it's mandatory, so you couldn't avoid taking it, because it's a class where you literally learn useful things whether you want to or not.
Yeah. And I think that you bringing up like your AP classes, you know, took up, I mean, other than football, they took up pretty much all the space in your schedule. And I think that that's kind of pretty lame how the system does that, though, because like you know, if colleges were able to, because colleges put a lot more weight on AP classes than any other class, because, you know, obviously it shows that you're smart, and they want smart people. So
Yeah.
But if
it's not that you're smart, that you're making an attempt to do something.
But I mean, if you do
harder
good in it, then you're smart. Anyone who gets 5 on calc test, I will pleasure you. Because that was difficult. But I think if colleges looked at the life essentials class in the same way, I think more people would be inclined to take it, or even have it. I'm sure you wanted to take it, but there wasn't enough room in your schedule. But I'm sure if it was an AP class, you might have been able to find a place for it, because colleges would have valued it in the same way as they value calculus. For example.
I would have taken it instead of like one of the more useless AP classes that I took,
exactly.
like AP Human Geography.
Yeah. So make AP Life Essentials a class.
AP Life Essentials. What would be the difference between AP Life Essentials and regular Life Essentials?
Don't even make a regular Life Essentials.
Just make it an AP class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only solution.
All right, are we ready for next question?
Yeah. Am I gonna start all of them, or do we want to switch the order up?
Because I feel like I'm eating a peanut M&M right now. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm making the thumbnail, so
I feel okay. I feel like on this one you guys have more to say. I don't know. I've been thinking about this question the whole time.
That one requires a lot of thought, so maybe we could come back to it.
There's so many things.
All right, I guess we could just start at the base and work our way up. So how can we improve the education system? We'll start at preschool. Should preschool? Do you guys think preschool should be mandatory?
Yes, I think so.
Yes,
I think it's good. Oh, you go.
All right, I didn't really know where I was going, but I think that, because I was gonna say I don't really remember a lot of it, but like I feel like you learn a lot of valuable life lessons like in that little
sharing
your group. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like your little group together, you like learn how to share and how to like talk to someone. Like that's that's a big deal. I feel like
that's
all you really do in preschool.
I agree. I mean, preschool, you don't learn like anything educational, I guess, like academic. I meant to say, but it's definitely a good opportunity to be able to learn how to like communicate with people and make friends and stuff. Like, I know learning to make friends sounds kind of dumb, but like think about it. Like, how do you actually like know how to make friends? It's probably because when you were younger, you had to were kind of like, I see these two people hanging out, like it's human instinct to want to be with someone. I mean, not like I don't want to like fuck all my friends, but I mean, I kind of do at the same time. I mean,
hang on. We need to talk about this off camera. I have an offer for you.
Okay.
But preschool was a crazy time.
I think preschool was good. It was almost, and I don't really see any harm in doing it either, as long as it's like public education, because I guess mine was private, so I guess that's kind of hypocritical. Well, not really, because I don't really think that I should have gone to private. I don't see any difference, but it's just like a lot of like playtime kind of, and the teachers teach you about sharing and about well, not like full on respect, but like being nice to people basically, and I think that those are pretty important things, so I think that that's good. So
just not much more to add, because you've had such a good answer, but I couldn't agree more about it being the beginning of like social learning. Is I understand that some people might have worries about going to school that early because they view going to school as some sort of like indoctrinary method into like some vast societal structure that they don't approve, and while I understand that there's no other way to learn how to be a human being unless you be a human being, and you're not going to learn how to be a good social human being by staying in mommy and daddy's house until you're 7 years old,
Yeah, I think that's a problem.
And the earlier you start, the earlier you can learn like what's okay and what's not okay. Like, I still think about weird shit I did in preschool to this day that makes me like not like that affects how I behave now. So like,
me too. Some fucking little boy smacked me on the head with a goddamn fucking ice pack, and it hurt like a bitch. And I was like, I still think back, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should never beat my wife and children.
That's a good. I don't. I was thinking about that. I don't remember a lot from preschool, except for the times where I either got hurt or I did something that was wrong and got like yelled at. Like one time, I threw a rock at a classroom, and like. It was a fairly big rock, and I like was like, oh, I'm gonna throw this at the classroom, and then I threw it, and then the teacher saw me, like it was at like a wall, not like at a window, but like the wall of the classroom.
Yeah.
And the teacher saw it and like yelled at me, and my friends were like, "Bro, why'd you do that?" And I was like, "I guess I shouldn't throw things at classrooms anymore." So
yeah, well, like one of my first experiences, like this kid brought snacks to school. And he was like giving snacks to people, and I remember he gave a bunch of snacks to his friend, and I saw someone like waddle over because toddlers can't walk, right? And he like waddled over, and the kid was like, "No, I don't like you." And then the kid started crying, and I remember thinking to myself, like that made me really like angry for some reason. And I remember that was like the first time I thought something was like unfair.
Yeah.
So now, and like to this day, I have this weird obsession with making things fair, even if it's not. Like convenient.
Yeah.
So like that, and that was I think that's where like the seed was planted, where I first, whether you can argue all day whether I was born with that desire built into me or I developed it from events like that happening. But that was the first time I remember it actively being important to me. That was the beginning of like my set of personal values that guide my actions, and I think that's something really important.
And I think I think you're right, but I think that it was more like an independent learning of that, because I'm sure your parents also had like earlier influence, but because they were telling it to you, you were like believing it. But this time you actually got to like see it and experience it like by yourself. And like, I mean, I know like we were like 4 years old, so who really knows what was going on in our brains, but like
maybe I fucking invented that event entirely in my head. It never actually happened. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from preschool.
So we didn't discuss any changes there because there's not much happens in it, but I guess we all agree that it should be mandatory.
Actually, I'm not too sure about mandatory because I also
made readily available.
Yeah, I don't really have like I don't really have a problem at all with people who didn't go to preschool, because I think that kindergarten is kind of the same thing. It's just, more years, so more time to kind of do.
It's not like everyone who didn't go to preschool is some asocial lunatic who doesn't know how to interact with everyone because they started 1 year later.
I just think that it is a good platform. I mean, I think just starting earlier is better. But there's no problem with starting in kindergarten.
I mean, look at me. Like, I did preschool. I'm talking about how useful it is, and I'm socially inept.
Yeah, I mean, look at us. We're doing a podcast. We all went to preschool.
We're doing a podcast with six views on episode 1, and we all went to preschool. So don't fucking take our opinions with a grain of salt.
Yeah. All right. So kindergarten, I kind of think it's the same thing, except you're bigger, and I think you learn some simple stuff, maybe cutting. I remember cutting stuff. I think I remember reading some stuff too, so brain development at an all-time maximum right there. Cutting and reading.
You do read a lot.
Why did elementary and kindergarten make us believe that cutting shit out of paper would be so important? And then when's the last time you cut something out of a piece of paper? When's the last time you used scissors to do anything other than open a plastic package?
I never cut paper.
No. Fuck. Why did we focus on that so much?
What do you guys?
Other arts and crafts that could have been more.
Why didn't we get taught origami? That shit's cool.
That shit's
cool. That would have been epic. Really I think we're too dumb.
I almost just said that shit's cool as shit, and I would have hit like peak idiot if I said that.
Don't worry, I'm already peak idiot. All right, so what do you guys think of kindergarten? Just
like you said, I feel like it's too similar to preschool to really have a differing opinion on. Yeah. It really starts diverting from that system in earnest in first grade. So I'd say the same thing about kindergarten. But I don't understand why so many schools are pre-K and then you go to kindergarten through the K through 12 system.
Yeah, I don't like that system.
I feel like being in the same culture throughout your childhood, well, it doesn't really matter that much because you're 4. I feel like it could be helpful because it's just that much more social awareness.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't force you to throw you in the weird situation. Because I went to a private preschool until 1st grade, and then I was not thrown. I went to the public system. Mom asked me if I wanted to stay at Montessori, and I said no.
Oh, really? You got a choice? Actually, I
I'm kind of assuming I got a choice. Like, probably not, but I don't see why I wouldn't. I'm sure they asked me at some point.
I think my parents were like, yeah, you're going to go to public school. And I was like, okay, I don't. I mean, I don't even know if we really knew what the difference was.
Yeah.
There really isn't even that much of a difference, I don't think.
I don't even think I knew that Montessori had a K through 12 program. Or 1 through 12 program.
I went to St. Joseph's, and they have K through 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the first grade and first, second, and third mostly like first and second, I guess, are definitely where you start doing more. I mean, obviously more like actual classroom stuff. I don't really remember first grade too much. I remember doing these. I think mine definitely was like a actual classroom setting. From there on out, but it was obviously pretty simple work, just reading and stuff. I do remember though, I was maybe I'm so quiet because of this instance, but one time I was like super excited because we like didn't have homework. So I was like talking to the person next to me. I was like, yo, we don't have homework. And then the teacher was talking. She was like, Zach, put your name on the board. And I was like, oh no, the name on the board. So I had to put my name on the board. And so maybe I just never talked after that.
Weird how isolated incidents like that come up in your head so many years later.
Well, I mean, it is weird, but it also is like kind of just what your brain naturally does.
Yeah. And I guess that's what we were talking about, those social lessons early on where you learn.
Yeah, exactly. It's
not
just
like
you seeing unfair boy giving out candy snacks.
Yeah.
And Lucas chucking rock through window.
No,
apparently Lucas has to be taught that you're not supposed to damage property.
Wait, I'm confused what a private preschool is. I don't know if I went to preschool, actually. What? Can we go back a little bit to that?
So private preschool is like
I was wondering after you said you went to a private one too. Is there such thing as a public preschool?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. What is a private? Like, what does that mean?
It means like a public school is somewhere where the government can force you to enroll there. A private school, they're normally more expensive. You have to choose to go there and send like an application, and they reserve the right to tell you can't go there. You know,
it's like college.
So preschool is like a you send your kid there.
It's like if we're being completely honest here, I know this kind of undermines everything we're talking about by calling it this, but just to oversimplify it, it's like overglorified daycare. Or I guess. And us defending it, properly glorified daycare.
Yeah, I think it is like daycare, but where you learn.
Daycare, but better.
After looking up it, I understand what it is now.
Alright, cool.
I like that it implies that Lucas just completely ignored us for the past minute and just Googled it instead.
Well, no. I was like,
and,
I had to make sure I knew where I went. I looked up where I went, and it is called a preschool. And then I'm like, oh, I understand now. So I guess all of them would be considered private. Like, I don't know.
Did you go to a Montessori school?
No.
Oh, that's where I went.
What does that mean?
It's
is that a chain?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
so like... I went to a public one. Compared to you guys, I would call it public since it was in the middle of a field. So yeah, like it wasn't.
Growing up in rural Northern California is crazy, folks.
Yeah, no, and there's like a play structure, and that was it pretty much. So I understand now. I get it. All I remember is
his parents saw a dude in the van that was like, "I'll take care of your kid for 8 hours a day if you give me $50," and they just drove him to the local playground.
That's might be what happened, but
well, mine was just like a giant like there was a bunch of, I mean, it was a K through 12 or like pre-K through 12. So there's a bunch of classrooms, and they did like Bible study on the weekend or like on Sundays that I had to go to until I was like, I don't know, when I had my first communion, like 10 or something. But yeah, and then there's just a playground in the middle that was just chain link fence all the way around it, and they just throw us in there. And then when we weren't there,
same.
we were just but mine was like in like an actual like a facility.
You didn't have
a big,
like rattlesnakes just coming in from the field?
No, definitely not. We had a bunch of trees that would drop like the Pokeball thing, like the spiky
ball.
Oh, yeah.
I actually had those too. I remember that.
Yeah, and me and my friend Benny used to get all of them and put them in the sandbox.
Oh my god, I had a sandbox too. Okay.
Yeah, and we'd put them all in the corner, and we literally had probably about, I'm not even exaggerating, it was like a solid like 1/8 of like probably, I don't know how big the fucking dimensions were of the sandbox, but it was a decently sized sandbox. Big. We had probably 200 balls just in the sandbox, and then
oh my god,
I think they got kind of mad. I think they got kind of mad because it was just me and him. We just pick them up off the ground, just throw them in there. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I'm a natural born hunter gatherer.
Oh yes. Yeah.
All right, back to grades.
Original
1, 2. I think 1 and 2 are more similar than like, I don't know how to. I think 1 and 2 are similar, I guess.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to remember them. I honestly can't really remember a lot of that at all. So
I remember 2nd grade is where I cheated on my first homework thing.
How do you remember that?
Because it was my first time cheating, Lucas. That's how I remember that.
Well, like, did you get caught? Like, was there
No, I didn't get caught, but I was
That's
scared.
why he remembers it. He remembers the thrill.
Pretty much.
Alone moment.
No, so what I did is, it was pretty ingenious of me. So we had 2 sheets of math problems to do, and they were both double-sided. And I did one of them, and I didn't do the other one. And I was like, well, shit, like, this isn't good. But he would walk around and, like, look at them to make sure we did them. So what I did is I covered up half the second sheet with the sheet that I did. And then I did, in class, I did like 5 problems like in the top left corner, and then I like diagonally like put the paper over the paper so like you could see only the problems that I did on the worksheet that I didn't do. And then he just like walked by and just stared at it, and he's like, "Good job." And I was like, "God damn, I'm a genius."
Yeah, I remember I laid down my first epic roast in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
My dad had recently like started teaching me about the history of the United States, and he gave me like the oversimplified version. So he was like, "Remember, like when the United States first was made, there were only 13 of them, and now there's 50 because we kept getting bigger." And I was like, "Whoa!" So like obviously in my head that registered as like, in the olden days the United States had 13 states in it. So and then like the next day, my 2nd grade teacher named Miss Gruber was talking about United States history again, because I asked Dad about United States history because we'd started talking about it in 2nd grade. And she said, "Does anyone know how many states there were when I was a kid?" Because at like 48, because Hawaii and Alaska weren't around. And I was like, I know it was when I shot my hand up, and she was like, "Matthew," and I was like, 13, and everyone started laughing. She got kind of chapped.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
That's pretty good.
My first epic roast. I debunked my first liberal. And I've never reached that comedic high again.
That is pretty
That is
funny.
actually pretty funny. That's good.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So, if we're still talking about how we can change the school system, which I think is how we started this conversation.
Yes.
In light of recent events, on June 12th, 2020, you can just think about what's going on. I think that's the right age to start introducing children to the basic ideas of past injustices and unfairness, because the later you learn it, the deeper your ideas are already entrenched in what's happening. So I think we need to start exposing kids to harsh realities earlier than we do, because I feel like the later the revelation comes, the less likely that revelation is going to happen at all.
You think? How old? Second grade?
First or second grade, yeah. I remember I didn't learn slavery was a thing until like 5th grade. And I think that's too late, you know?
I think that maybe if they started, maybe not doing harsh realities
like
until,
easing into it.
But yeah, if they eased into it and started talking about slavery and stuff in like 2nd grade, but then because you're too young at that point to really understand like a lot of like Rodney King, like I was definitely like I would be like, I don't know what's going on right now. But I think that showing that in like maybe 5th or 6th grade, I mean, I don't know about showing like the actual abuse, because that was pretty graphic. I remember seeing that video. Maybe 6th grade.
Maybe just introducing, like in 1st or 2nd grade, talking about like, by now you're smart enough to realize that some of you may have differences. And when you look at each other, and then obviously you don't have to get super specific if you want to talk about race or gender inequality or whatever you want to talk about in that situation. You can be like, but you can even include.
Sorry, but you can even include like some of you may also be having different feelings than other people, so you can also kind of bring in, you know, you can kind of eliminate toxic masculinity, and you can kind of promote more of an LGBTQ confidence in the younger generation.
I think that's exactly what I'm going for, because the earlier you normalize those discussions, the earlier those discussions can happen, and society can begin to become more fair. Because no one thinks that they're being unfair or they're advantaged growing up, you know? So a move by an oppressed group can be seen as tipping the scales in their favor when they're just trying to get on the same level that the other person's on. So I think implementing those ideas that maybe things are unfair and they don't have to be, or maybe you shouldn't be unfair. I think that's where people can start to understand from an early age, and therefore it just becomes a greater fact of life that efforts need to be made to make sure that things are fair, because they're not going to be fair on their own.
I agree.
I also agree with that.
And some people might say leave it to the parents to deal with it, but I honestly don't think that
We've been doing that for a couple thousand years now. If we've proved everything, it's there.
I don't think that that people are valuing core family values enough. I guess that's pretty general, but I basically, parents fucking suck.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean,
we'll talk about that more on Schoolcast episode 3, Parent Cast.
Get our parents on here, be like, you guys fucking suck. No, my parents were good.
Parents are going to imprint, or at least going to attempt to imprint on their kids what they think is correct. And even if we can't comprehend it, people who have offensive or downright evil beliefs don't think they're evil. No one thinks they're evil.
Yeah, no one.
It's all relevant. So, no one
that's racist thinks racism is bad.
No one, if we're being completely honest, unless you're extreme, no one who's racist thinks they're racist because it's
That's
an
true.
uncomfortable thought to have about yourself. And that casual, under the grasp racism is what spread through our society and allowed this bullshit to happen. You know?
Mhm.
Because no one thinks
Mhm.
they're racist until they're racist, you know?
Mhm.
And even then, they don't think it.
Yeah.
That's why the rallying cry is, I'm not racist, but I'm not homophobic, but I'm not sexist, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's like you're qualifying with yourself because you don't want to think that about yourself, even if it's true. So that's just another layer of exposing the idea that you can do that early on can lead to someone thinking and reflecting on themselves and realizing when they're being unjust.
Yes. And we can go more in depth on, because I definitely think that religion has a lot to do with people that have very opposing views to progressive views. So we can go more in depth on that later, because we still have quite a bit of grades to get through. We're only on 2. All right.
Yeah. I think it's time to start talking about sex education when we get into 3rd through 5th grade.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Here's an interesting discussion that maybe is tied to maybe another podcast if it's. Sorry, I looked at the podcast paper for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I scrolled down on accident.
Zach, did you pull up the words penis?
Alright, what were you gonna say?
Okay.
Do you think sex should be normalized at that age? The idea of
what
sex.
grade? What grade are we
Like
talking about?
5th grade is when we normally start doing sex education. That's when we watch the penis VHS.
Normalized?
I don't remember that.
Normalized.
But
No,
like-
I
You don't think so?
think. Well, how old are you in? Wait, what grade are we talking about? 4th, 3rd, 4th?
I'm not saying that we bring kids into a classroom and be like, all right, you're getting
Alright.
boners, get pounded. I'm just saying, I think one of the most unfortunate things about our society is that the idea of being sexual is shamed, especially in women.
mhm.
So I think that if we have a more open dialogue about it from an earlier age, that can go away. But obviously, at the same time, we run
I
the
don't
risk
think it's shamed. I think it's. Well, it depends on the age, but I think once you get into high school, it's like, dude, you fuck that chick like you're a god.
Yeah.
For
We're
guys,
men.
at least. Yeah, I know, but you can't just make a general statement saying that sex is looked down upon when it's not for half the population.
I guess, but you also can't run that population skewed towards the other half of the population. You have to make it fair, and the only way to make it fair is to pander it to the least fortunate group. And this situation is.
I don't agree with that. I think that you can just say that we need to discuss sexual education more without saying that it's looked down upon or up upon.
Fair enough.
I think, yeah, but I do agree that it shouldn't just be I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a super awkward topic, because I remember sex ed in 6th grade, no one wanted to say the word penis or vagina or anything, and it was
Did you guys have a video that you remember where that you just walked in and the teacher was like, we're gonna watch this VHS, and you just popped it in, and it's
the
some
lady giving birth.
poorly recorded 1980s video, and it's like, Dad, my penis got hard recently. My little thingy got hard recently.
Wait a second. I don't know.
No,
If
I
that
never
happened.
saw I
Oh,
never
you
saw
guys
that.
didn't have that video?
I
Well, when
remember,
did you
I
first-
don't know.
When did you first remember sex ed?
Right, I remember it. They made a big deal about it, and
Sixth grade?
No, 5th, 5.
See, I remember that we did have. I think we had sex ed. Yeah, we definitely did in 5th grade, but I don't remember it at all. I think that, yeah, I don't know if the kids really had to get involved in it, and it was mainly just teachers just talking to the kids.
Yeah,
not yeah, go.
We had sex ed day. It was one day,
It probably was a day for
like
us too.
they hoarded us into the only male 5th grade teacher's classroom, and we all sat there. Every boy in 5th grade, and then he was seriously just like, "Let's put in this video," and it was like a child walking up to his dad, and he's like, "Daddy, my pee-pee got hard recently," and I was like, "Well, that's your penis, son, and soon you're gonna start growing hair around it and other parts of your body." And then that was the end of the video, and then our teacher was like, "Does anyone have any questions?" And of course no one had any questions because no one understood what was going on. And he's like, "Okay, go back to your classrooms."
I think that
I don't.
yeah, I don't really remember what ours was. It was probably something kind of like that. But I think that yeah, 5th grade is it's an all right time to start. Maybe 4th would be better, but I think that having a person who is more educated in the topic of providing sexual education to the youth should come in and speak instead of just a goddamn teacher, because they're not educated enough on that, so that I can't put the blame on them or anything.
Their job. It's not their job.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it'd be great if it was, but I think that's too much.
Teachers already have to deal with so much shit. Let's just bring someone in. That's what we do in 9th grade, freshman year, right? Is they brought in that professional lady.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She did a good job. She did a good job.
Yeah, they should never make teachers do it. That's it just creates a lot of problems, I think. Like, I know it was awkward after we did it. Like, the teacher doesn't want to tell you this stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah, no.
They're trying to teach you how to do like 2 + 2, and then
they're like, all right, now unbutton your pants.
Yeah, so I don't think the teacher should ever do it. I think that's kind of wrong.
But I think, I think 5th grade is kind of where you start showing. I can't even say this because it was only for me. But for me, 5th grade was where I kind of started thinking about women. And so it was a good time to do it, because before then I wouldn't be like, oh, like this girl's cute. I would just be like, oh, like she's my friend or some shit like that. But then 5th grade I was like, oh, like this girl's kind of cute or something. But that could just be me. I don't really know what your guys' experiences were, or if you want to share them.
I had something similar, but the thing about it for me was my friends were talking about, like, oh, dude, I'm sorry, that girl's so cute, or oh, she's really pretty.
Jackie Ivanka.
Fuck Jackie Ivanka. The weird revelation for me was that I thought I was behind everyone else, because I was like, well, I guess I feel this way, but I feel this way about boys too. I don't get it. You know? So it took me so goddamn long to realize that I wasn't just sexually immature, I was just bisexual, because I didn't know what the fuck was happening. And then one day someone was like, oh, bi, and I was like, what does bi mean? It's like, oh, it means you want to fuck boys and girls. And I was like, ha ha ha, weird, but in my head I was like, oh shit, that's me.
Yeah, I feel like you should have been explained that a long time ago.
Yeah, that's why I think that should be explained in younger grades before sex.
Yeah, I thought I was a freak for a super long time. I was like, something's wrong with me.
Yeah, that's sad to hear. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All fucking Jackson Wallace's fault. Fuck that kid.
Dogs.
Why is he so pretty?
I was gonna say, like, I don't know if we don't have any inside. We don't know any like 2nd grade and 3rd graders, because I was gonna say, like, maybe maybe they do, educate people, but I'm pretty sure they haven't changed it much, like, to educate.
I
people.
doubt it.
We need someone most recently. Can we get your little brother on the podcast, please?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever heard about that, so I don't think they're changing, or at least the school that he's at.
Go wake up your brother right now and be like, do you know what bisexuality is?
No, I'm gonna say he's gonna say no, and that's a problem. I mean,
yeah,
because people need to be educated, especially nowadays with everything.
All right.
They're gonna feel like outcasts.
Yeah, we don't
All
want
right.
Matthew to feel like a freak. That's sad.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
It's okay. I got comedic mileage out of it now, so
No,
It's
it
okay,
obviously messed you up forever.
Yeah, I mean, look at you. You're bisexual.
I mean, fuck.
I'm joking. So do you guys think that, just a side question, do you guys think that the splitting up, like elementary school, middle school, high school, like those are good ages to split up and group together?
I think that was about the right situation, because maybe it's just coincidence, but like major transitions were happening to me during both times of my life when that was happening, so it only felt natural. As was this transition into college. It just all of them felt like they came at exactly the right time. Maybe it's because our life is structured around that, so we subliminally move change to happen around that time. But,
or maybe things just happen along the way, and then we only think that things are happening when we are like changing schools and stuff. But does that mean when I graduate college, my dick will finally get bigger?
Yes.
Yes, because you will buy surgery.
I think that's how it works.
So what are 8th grade? Let's talk about 8th grade. 8th grade.
Oh boy.
8th grade.
Lots. I guess just in middle school, a lot of social stuff going on. Lots and lots of social stuff. Even more, I would say more drama than high school.
I was constantly in drama in middle school. It was just drama to drama to drama to drama.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of figuring out. I mean,
everyone
really
is so fucking hormonal. It's just
true.
It's kind of
you can say what you want and we can discuss structure, but nothing is good. Nothing good is going to come out of throwing a bunch of kids that age together and giving them a platform to be cruel to one another. It's just chaos is going to happen, and you can't do anything about it.
Looking back, it wasn't the greatest years. There's definitely lots of times where I was uncomfortable, and I didn't really like it. But I guess it was a good opportunity to grow, and because I was uncomfortable then, I know that I now do not like some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the game Smear the Queer, gotta say, don't really like
it. Not a good thing.
That doesn't sound too good.
No.
Do you guys have a definite middle school low point that you remember? I feel like everyone has at least one.
Yeah, mine was probably talking to Quentin Desovich.
Should we go around the room and tell everyone our middle school low point?
Actually, I don't. Was that
I'm
my
trying
low
to think.
point? I talked to him, and I talked to some. Well, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't really a low point because it was just like I didn't really like wanna, because like other people that I would hang out with, we'll try and keep names to a minimum, but other people would like to play basketball a lot at lunch, and I like didn't really want to do that. Because they would get like too competitive for me. Like I'd be fine if we were just taking shots or whatever, but they'd like get all sweaty and shit, and I was like, bruh. And I'm not like the most competitive when it comes to sports, probably because I'm not like the greatest at them. But so yeah, I kind of I guess took the more. I don't really know what I would call the people that I hung out with. I guess mixed bag of people.
Yeah.
And it was honestly fine for me at the time. I don't know. I mean, it was weird, but I did meet some interesting people, so that was kind of funny, I guess. That may have been my low point. I mean, I think 6th grade was high point, and then after that, just 5th and 6th grade for me were like my peak years of my life so far.
Matthew,
my low point was like
a
definite 10 seconds.
Oh,
right.
God.
My first middle school girlfriend had recently broken up with me, But on I had a group of friends, but I wasn't really like that close with any of them, so I would kind of just be there because your group of friends were just the people you ate lunch with in middle school.
Yeah.
So I would just kind of sit there, and everyone else would talk, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes talk to me. And it was the day after I found out that my dad had throat cancer. I went to school, and I was like sitting against the wall and just staring at the ground, and everyone around me was just talking to everyone else, and then like one of my friends looked down at me and was like, "Matt, why are you so sad?" And I was just like, "My dad has cancer," and they were like, "Oh," and then they just kept talking to their other people, and I was just like, "Well, that was fucking my low point
Yeah,
of
that's
my
rough.
fucking life."
That's not very.
Maybe
not a
that
good,
I feel like
healthy
that one
situation.
moment dramatically impacted my thoughts on middle school, because whenever anyone brings up middle school, I instantly think of that day, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's not a
That's-
very good situation at
that's-
all.
that's-
he's good now though. He's
Bad
in
memory.
remission. We're fine.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That is good. But yeah, that definitely would sway my opinion too. That doesn't sound like a very good time at all. I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, so 7th grade, that was when that happened, was the low point, and then things just got exponentially better from there when my dad got
Hey,
healthy.
you guys remember getting zapped?
What?
Like
Oh,
where people would
yes.
write someone's
Oh,
name on your hand, you had to
yes.
go ask them out.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh,
That just highlights how hormonal and
Yeah.
crazy
How
it was.
everything
honestly,
was
back
about
then.
dating people.
Everything literally was, and if you weren't talking to a girl, you weren't cool,
Yeah,
Like,
so I
when you
wasn't
get
cool.
zapped with someone. Like I think about how unhealthy it is for those kids that like no one wanted to write anybody's name on them, or like that's
Yeah.
like terrible for their mental health.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Or the people who would, like, they'd write their name on their hand, and the people would be like, "Ew, not them."
Yeah, that exactly. Like, God,
Mhm.
middle school was bad. Everyone was so
Yeah, middle
immature.
school. Yeah, it
Honestly.
definitely. No one really cared. I think people were so busy trying to subconsciously figure out what they were trying to be like, that they didn't really care about anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone just wanted
I
to
agree.
be cool and popular.
Yeah,
and the easiest
everyone-
way to be cool and popular is to make fun of other people.
Exactly, which is why I'm so cool and popular.
Which is why we made a podcast where we complain about other people.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We're appealing to middle school audience.
Guys, think this is cool. Advertisers, we have young influence. We have young audience we can influence easily. Give us advertising money. This episode was sponsored by CSGO Mobile.
This
Oh man.
man, I was trying to think of my low point in middle school, and honestly, I think it's when I first came, like 6th grade, because I came from out of the area technically, and so I didn't know anybody, and I think my first day or something, I was alone in the gym, and then these group of people surrounded me and were yelling at me, and I don't know, that's just in my head. And that was a pretty I'm
that's
trying to remember
sad.
how it went, because it's sad, but I'm trying to remember why. I think they were just 8th graders, and that's what they thought was cool. So, and I was just so confused after that. But then from there, my middle school experience, I think, was pretty good.
Pretty superb. Me and Lucas met each other and wanted to make out.
It was a fun time. Yeah, honestly, I mean, it was all good things.
I have a lot of good memories from middle school. It was,
Yeah.
but I also have a lot of bad ones too. So it's
Zach
like,
and Lucas have good memories from middle school because it was before they were friends with me.
What?
No, I said I had a lot of bad memories too.
I knew of you.
I'm fucking around. It's just a
No,
meme.
Matthew.
No,
No, fuck you, Matthew.
The locker rooms in middle school, a lot of stuff happened.
That was not,
Oh, that was when I met.
That really.
That was when I met my own dick and balls.
I forgot. I already leaked a few names today, so I apologize for that. So I won't leak any more. But that's when I met a certain person a certain person with a tall person with blonde hair and blue eyes who still has some lessons to learn about personal space.
I think we all know who that is, but yeah, I definitely have some memories of me and him. And,
yeah, I guess you could say that he needs to learn a bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A weird time.
Yeah, locker room was interesting. I think I blocked most of it out of my memory. I forgot about like the whole locker room experience from like even high school. I guess it was a pretty small part of my life, so maybe I just forgot about it. I don't think it was really like that bad for me.
The one and only time I've ever gotten punched was in that locker room.
Oh,
nice.
It didn't hurt. I was very surprised how it didn't hurt. That you couldn't punch.
Remember? Oh yeah, I remember people 5-starring people a lot. In the locker room.
Yeah,
and it would leave the mark.
Yeah, that was bad. There was a lot of that. All right. So any way to make middle school better?
God.
Not make it. Go through it and keep the lessons, but then give people a drug that makes people forget it after it's over.
Honestly,
the only thing we can do.
Maybe. Were you guys valedictorians?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
All right, I was too. So obviously, middle school's too easy. If I was a valedictorian,
make it harder. But then again, no shit.
God dang it!
If you just don't say last name,
our editor will.
Editor.
Our editor. Someone who's arguably one of the smartest people in our class got a B+ in the computers elective from trying too hard.
Yeah, that
and they felt so bad that they invented a special award just to give to her that was like on par with valedictorian. I felt so bad.
That's so funny. I'd say offer better. I honestly offer more in-depth classes. I mean, if there was like better, I guess you do need some general education. I don't know. I guess maybe they're not too bad, but I definitely think that more variety couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Here's something that I definitely should have brought up in elementary school. My bad. We need to get people on the foreign language train way earlier.
Yeah, I agree.
We're the only country.
Even though I hated it and I only took 2 years, if I started sooner, it would have been better. Yeah. And I think that it is. At least, it's really important. Well, also going along with foreign language, I think coding should be mandatory.
Yes. Even though you're not that big of a coding guy.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do know I know Java on Minecraft, but I do know enough coding to know that it is super important. And that foreign language is important in terms of being able to speak to foreigners, but coding is important because it is language of the future.
And you can speak to computers.
Yeah, and those are gonna be people soon, probably.
So
humanoids. So, I took a coding class in 6th grade, but it was drag and drop. I think drag and drop coding super lame.
Scratch?
I think yes. Well, it wasn't a Scratch course, but Scratch is basically this. It was basically the same thing. I think it was like an HTML drag and drop, and I think I think drag and drop coding maybe do it for a day, but like other than that, it's pretty useless. Like you don't have to really use your brain at all.
It's building blocks on a computer.
It's like playing goddamn Legos. Like you don't need to be a genius to do Legos. So on to high school.
On high school, this is where I feel we probably have some more legitimate things that we.
This is where we excel.
This is where we excel. This is our expertise. We did this for way longer than all the other ones. I guess less than elementary school, but that wasn't even real time because we were children and not teenagers.
And we remember stuff from high school.
Yeah.
freshman year.
Oh boy.
Scary.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely scary, but also one of my most fun years too.
That's where stuff got good.
Yeah, I think that definitely more variety of people, more variety of classes, more variety of people in different classes.
Is a product of our personal environment, since we live in such a gentrified community.
That is very true.
I'm sure
I
there
do
are other
think,
people out there that have super varied high schools.
but I also do think that high schools are they. I mean, if you're in it for 4 years, that's more than 3, which is middle school. So there's obviously going to be more classes in it. So I do, and there are requirements to graduate. I don't know if are the requirements just based off state, or are they national requirements? Are there such thing as national?
Let's find out. Jamie, pull it up.
Excuse me.
Who?
Oh, our manager. Yeah. Jamie.
Oh yeah. Tell me,
guys. It's funny. It's a Joe Rogan Experience reference.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get it.
I think
Jamie, pull up that video of a gorilla mutilating a human. Whoa, you think that gorilla's done DMT?
No fucking advertising for other podcasts when we're on here.
Yeah.
Guys, it's okay. We're better than Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
okay.
Don't leave the podcast. I see you typing in the Joe Rogan Experience in your YouTube search bar. Stay here. Okay, yeah, I googled it. It's different in all 50 states.
Okay. I think that there should be. I think there should be a national requirement of graduation. I don't see why people in we'll take Alabama, because I know one of my viewers is from Alabama. I don't see why people in Alabama should have lesser requirements to excel into the next part of their life than us. Like, and I just used Alabama because it's more of a conservative state, and California is more of a progressive. So I just assumed that our standards are a bit higher. No offense.
I'm assuming that the big sticking difference is foreign language. I'm completely uneducated on this, so if our one Alabamian viewer comes for my throat, actually subtweets me.
Actually, I was speaking to her, and they don't have to do driving courses behind the wheel with an instructor.
They don't.
Whoa.
Which was weird to me, because I was like, because this individual was like, I'm gonna get my license soon, and I was like, oh, did you take your behind the wheel? Because with coronavirus and stuff, it's probably hard to do that. I do think our local DMV opened up, because I've been seeing people outside when I drive home from work, and I've been seeing people drive around with like the instructors and stuff. But
I'm sure the DMV was labeled an essential business.
It actually was closed for a while.
Really? I didn't know.
Or at least I didn't see anyone parked outside, so maybe they're doing most of their stuff online. But I see people are like outside with a table or something now. But so this individual informed me they only have to go in and just take their test, and I was like, all right, well, I think that's pretty dumb. Which kind of ties into the fact that I think that more things should maybe be based on a national basis rather than just state to state, because although some things need to be state to state, depending on, I don't really know, I guess not much depends on state to state other than climate. I mean, what changes between states other than like
demographics?
Yeah, I guess demographics, but I think that if we make standards for demographics more equal, then the demographics will be treated more equal.
I agree.
So I think that maybe a national standard for graduating high school is a good idea. I think that A through G requirements kind of dumb idea.
I disagree with that, especially considering I was someone who had to use that to their advantage because I ended up going to a UC.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the A through G courses they require are the best they can do to prove competency, or at least prove that you're not taking the easiest possible route through high school. Because I feel like you can farm a high GPA or more A's if you take a bunch of easy classes, but even if they're super basic requirements, A through G at least ensures A, you're trying somewhat hard, and B,
through G. Oh, God, you missed the perfect joke.
You're being somewhat explorative. Did you want me to say A and then G? Is that what you wanted me to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I do think it's you're right about farming high GPA, but I do think that if the requirements were a little more in depth, I don't know. I just think that education, like, it's so high school is so not difficult if you don't want it to be, and I think that it offers a decent amount of hard, but it needs to offer more exciting hard, if that makes sense. Like, there's not enough good. Well, that's subjective, but
just reflect on your experience. How many courses did you take that were genuinely difficult? Like, not it gave you a lot of work, not you felt busy, that just the stuff you learned was hard to understand.
Challenging your brain.
One.
Calculus.
Calculus.
Yeah. It really probably was. Even though there are other AP classes like environmental science, none of the concepts were hard to understand. There wasn't a lot of homework. I didn't even goddamn study for the test, and I got a 4. Like, that shit, like, is that even considered an AP class? Like, no. Like, they should. And I think. Yeah, you go.
Sorry.
I said you go.
Oh, okay. And I think that loops back to what I think we started the discussion on, is by making classes with harder content, we can get away from students having to build their own education and learn time management skills, and give them more things to expand their mind and their resolve. If we offer courses with more difficult content.
Yeah. And I know I sound like one of the traditional, like, high school sucks kids, but not only do I think that there should be more advanced classes, but I also think there should be more of a emphasis and value to other types of learning. Like, I know it's a lame example, but like welding or something. Even though I do believe that it is being automated away with automation and stuff, you can't automate away every single job. And I think that it is, like, I mean, I don't know. I think that there's gonna need to be like a pretty major reform of the school system when jobs like that are automated away. And because you can't force, like, you could just say, oh, we'll just force all those people to, like, be coders or something. But you can't really do that. And I think that the traditional jobs that people are preparing themselves for are pretty, some of them are going to be non-existent very soon. Like, obviously stuff like some, like, surgeons and stuff they're going to need to be around for a while. And, like, engineers, those are going to need to be around for a while. But stuff like, I guess we'll just use the welding as an example again. Stuff like welding, or just any, like, repetitive work, I guess. Just a lot of, like, factory workers or people who didn't, like, you know, want to take a bunch of the traditionally, like, valued classes in high school. Like, most of them would go into factories and shit. I feel like I'm just like fucking rambling on. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but basically I think that we're going to need to, as a society, we're going to need to find other jobs that we can put value into so people can do those jobs and still feel like they have value and not be forced into a certain job, but also be educated enough to know some basic things, I guess. My brain stopped functioning like halfway through that, so.
Don't worry, we've all been there.
Nah, that made sense.
What do you think, Lucas?
Are we talking about how to change high school?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, basically we need whole school reform to promote non-traditional jobs is what I'm saying.
I think that high school is definitely way too easy, like Zach said. We know a lot of people that just kind of went through high school and like didn't really do much, and then when they're out of high school, they're probably not going to go to college, and then they're like, well, like they don't have anything to do with their lives, so they're probably gonna, go down the wrong path or something. So I think high school should have, like a national like standard that all kids should do, so everyone, comes out of high school with like at least some kind of valuable like thing that they know, or like special thing that they know how to do that's not going to be, done by machines in the future.
Yeah,
and
sorry, you go.
I don't know. I was going to say that like it should be like you should want to, but that's like changing like human nature. I don't know. Yeah, like you should want to be able to do something in life, but not everyone's like that. So I mean, you should want to finish high school and like have it not look back and be like, wow, that was, for nothing. So
yeah,
that's kind of up to the person.
Like you're there for 4 years already, like do some shit with it, so it's not like a waste of 4 years. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk more, sorry, but you were saying like make it so people come out of high school with like a specialty, and I totally agree with that, because even if it's something like someone knows how to like either like make music really well, or even if they're like skilled in like knowing fucking how to draw, like how to shade shit good, and like dimensions, and like how to draw like in 3 dimensions or even fucking 2 dimensions or some shit, like just any like refined skill. If you can come out of high school with that, then I think that that's really, really good and valuable, and I think that should almost be mandatory, because like if you're not really like good at anything, like pretty good at anything after, well, not, it doesn't need to like be, you don't need to be like a fucking pro at it, but if you're not like good at anything after high school, then I feel like it's really hard to find a job if you're not going into college. And if you are going into college, it is going to be kind of hard to like know exactly what you want to do, because like, I mean, I know college gives you more time, but if you do the same thing with college, I guess, if you don't really like come out of college with a good understanding of a certain topic or good experience in something, then like you're not going to like be motivated to do anything, or you're not going to know enough to like do anything that would excite you, and you're kind of going to be living like a shitty life probably.
Yeah.
Fuck, enough talking for me. Matthew, your turn.
I know Matthew's got something.
Let's see.
Huh?
So we're still talking about how we can improve high school, right?
Yes.
That's what I did. Yes.
Here's an idea that I was thinking about recently, mostly when we started bringing up school as a possible topic for this episode. I want to get your guys' opinion on it. Do you think we should make testing out easier? Because something that we've repeatedly mentioned is how some people just kind of go with the flow through high school and don't do anything useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what if, like, the end of sophomore year, we gave an avenue to, because I know it's a personal meme between us, but some people really are just hardwired for the workforce. They're not compassionate about learning. They're not excited to do greater things. They just want to get out there and start earning money to do what makes them happy. And we can look down at those people and think they're stupid, or we can do whatever we want, but at the end of the day, there's just people out there who want to do that. And I honestly think that's fine. And I think it is a waste of resources and attention and people who are trying to take care of kids who care to make them continue to care for kids who don't care. You know?
Yeah.
So what if after sophomore year, we just implemented just a natural GED test that everyone could take? And everyone took it, and then they would just tell you, you're ready to leave high school. If you want, you can leave. But we're just like, it's not a good idea, but if you're ready to go out there and start making minimum wage money, you can go do that. And I think that would just cut off 50% of the people who just hang around and do nothing. And it's a bit brutal, and it's a bit almost rude to say it this way, but I think if you don't care by that point, you're not going to start caring anytime soon. Out of all the people I know who are kind of casual about school, I've known one who made anywhere close to a reasonable life change around that point. So I think that it would be a good idea if we just let people go earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe educating people more, let's say before the test, or even I don't know if it should be a test or maybe just talking with a counselor or something, even though counselors are kind of, some of them can be kind of booty, but I feel like if you're talking, then you're almost forced to think about it more, because if it's just on paper, you can just like slap some shit down and be like, fuck it, I don't care. But I also think like educating people about, like, you know, hey, if you are interested in leaving high school, like, we'll give you this shit straight up, and this is like how it's gonna be. And if they're still fine with it after that, because and they're, I don't know, because then, like, what if there's a group that's like questionable, like we kind of want to leave, but like, you know, or like what if like our parents like are making us like stay in, but we really don't want to. Like, there's people that are like that too.
And, you know, if those people stay around, then nothing will really change. I guess giving people this avenue to leave will only take out the most extreme cases, but some is better than none. And, you know, I feel like the people who are dangling on the precipice like that are going to naturally stay, because it's what's comfortable and it's what they know. But hey, how about this? How about we give them a chance, and then we make re-entry a thing that they can do. Like, they can leave after their sophomore year, and then they can spend like a year in the workforce, and then like Placer High School can send them a letter and be like, hey, just checking up. We will enroll you as a junior this fall if you want to come back to school.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. And I definitely think that not only high school, but even like I'm taking an online college class right now, and I have a mom in my class, and Matthew had a grandma in his, and I think that's should be more popular, is to come back. I know a good amount of people actually do come back and get higher education, but I think that it's almost like, I feel like some people do look down upon, you know, older people in college classes, but I think that it's a good thing that people want to continue education, you know, because because it is hard to like make up your mind when you're this young, you know, whether you want to continue education. And if they want to try out the workforce and they don't like it, then there should be no problem at all with getting a higher education.
I say the sooner we give people a taste of freedom, the sooner we can see if people are ready for it.
That's a good idea.
Because the unfortunate truth is that some of us, as ready as we think we are simply not ready to be on our own yet. And I will admit that my idea gives the possibility of kids who think they're ready going out and being on their own, and maybe that trial period isn't long enough. And also it gives people the opportunity to just take a gap year in high school and go and just party for a year, which is stupid if you choose to do that, but I'm assuming a lot of people will, which is unfortunate. But it's just a concept I thought of. I'm not a policy maker by any means.
Yeah. And I do think that I don't really know any off the top of my head any ways to prevent the people who would just do it and then just go out and party and not get a job. I guess you could only let people leave that had a confirmed job or something.
Yeah. Like a verified source of income from a letter from an employer or something like that.
I know that Canada, like, to become a resident in Canada, from a foreign country, you need to show proof that you got a job in Canada. And I think that's a good idea. I mean, I don't see a problem with that.
Honestly, so whenever we want to look at improvements, we should just look up Canada's system and get point for point.
Yeah.
It might not be perfect, but it's better than ours.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. We talked a lot about changing high school, improving education system. Got a couple more questions. We've been recording for a long time now. So
this seems like a good place to end, though, if we would like to.
Yeah, we can do school part 2. We could even do it maybe like even midweek or something. I don't really care. If we wanted to go more in depth, because we only got through 2 questions total.
Well, yeah, but they were like the most in-depth questions. We can
they were.
Less complicated ones.
We could probably make the other ones as in-depth too if we really wanted to. So I guess we're logging off for now.
That's all we have time for today, chat. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the Acetaminophen YouTube channel.
Yeah, do what he said.
New episode of General every weekend.
Yeah, so what he said, let us know what your thoughts are on anything down in the comments. We if we get enough comments, we can start talking about what you guys say, if there's anyone that ever listens to this. So that'd be kind of funny. Please share with everyone you fucking know right now.
Please.
No. Please. All right. Any last words?
Yes.
Thank you for watching this episode.
If you've made this so far, I want to shake your hand.
If you made it this far, leave a comment, and then we'll respond to it. Say something you liked, say something you want to see a future episode on, or just say whatever you want in the.
You literally just say whatever. Honestly, if you make it this far, I'll make out with you in real life if we ever meet up. If we don't, I'll just buy a plane ticket to fucking your town right now.
If you hated every second of this and you were just so rooted in your hate that you listened to the whole thing, please comment about how much you hate us. We'll still appreciate it because at least people are paying attention.
Yeah. All right. Well. Bye.